the upcoming release of S. Craig Zahler's Dragged Across Concrete, it is important to look at his previous work, Brawl In Cell Block 99, before again venturing into his worlds of crime and violence. This video essay will examine Zahler's use of themes as a reflection of the setting and environment, characters, most notably Vince Vaughn's arguably anti-hero Bradley Thomas, as well as the delicate use of soundtrack and meticulous fight choreography. Zahler is an impressive genre filmmaker, and this video aims to showcase how so in a variety of ways. This video will serve both as an analysis of key elements of the movie, as well as a viewing recommendation. The movie itself is quite violent, as will be parts of this video, so caution is advised before watching.
Oh, fuck.
Let's begin. This movie features Vince Vaughn as Bradley Thomas, an ex-boxer, ex-drug dealer that winds up in prison, but who must now kill a specific inmate in the prison in order to keep his family safe. Vaughn lays the foundation for this movie in order for it to work. This movie succeeds because of the committed performance, both physically and emotionally. Whilst walking, Bradley sounds forceful, slow, and deliberate. He may not move fast, but he makes up for this with his preference for bone-breaking brutality that inflicts upon several of the inmates. Bradley is a force to be reckoned with, a hulking brute who seemingly cannot feel pain as his methods of violence become steadily worse over the running time. This increase in violence is also reflected in the movie setting and is tied in one of its major themes. How far would you go for someone you loved? Towards the end of the running time, Bradley answers this question through his actions. He will go as far as possible to ensure his family's safety. Upon first arriving in prison, the colours are bright and often blue. The prison looks quite ordinary, as well as the guards. Upon assaulting a guard, he is then moved down to the high security portion of the prison. The contrast between the standard cells and here are apparent. The heavily armed guards dressed all in black, the archaic stone walls keeping the prisoners withheld inside. The colour has changed also. The peaceful blues have been replaced by cold greys, contrasting with the bright orange coveralls worn by the prisoners. Upon further inciting violence in order to reach Cell Block 99, Bradley is taken to its underground location. No natural light reaches this area and the setting is dominated by harsh browns and oranges. This cell block is composed of rough brick walls and broken glasses scattered amongst the floor. Upon reaching this area, there is no turning back. No prisoner who is placed here will see the light of day again. This change in settings could be seen as a transition to hell, a change in planes. The blues and standard setting of the first prison could be representative of Earth. Upon his first violent act, he is transferred to the high security ward. The stone wall and grey setting could be seen as Bradley stuck in purgatory, a middle ground. The high stone walls trapping him inside a place of suffering. Cell Block 99 itself and its dark and harsh colour palette is indicative of the typical colours associated with renditions of hell. The guards are violently brutal and cruel. The ground is littered with broken glass, which makes walking even painful. This again ties in one of the central themes. How far would you go for someone you loved? Judging by Bradley's actions and the change in setting, as far as is necessary. An area of expertise that is highly evident throughout the movie is the fight scenes. Before examining what makes these action scenes stand out, it is important to contrast it with other contemporary examples. For comparison, Jason Bourne and John Wick 2 will be used. To preface this comparison, there is no correct way to compose or shoot action, but there are certain techniques that can be employed to showcase action to its highest potential. First, we will look at a fight scene in Jason Bourne. And now John Wick 2. And finally, Brawl in Cell Block 99. As you can see, there are obvious differences as to how they are shot and choreographed, especially between Brawl and Jason Bourne. In Jason Bourne, the shots are shaky, unfocused, and in general hard to follow. This is the polar opposite in Brawl. Zahler uses a wide angle lens while shooting fight scenes. You can fully see the actors' bodies as they are performing. There is no confusion as to what is happening, and you can follow the action with ease. This method also shows a huge amount of preparation and choreography. The actors, particularly Vince Vaughn, have put in a lot of preparation for these fight scenes, and it shows. The geography and blocking between the actors are precise and easy to follow, something that could not be said for the likes of Jason Bourne. The fight scenes in Brawls are not particularly stylized or flashy, but they are well constructed and very easy to follow. Another important aspect to discuss is the tone established by Zahler through several methods, particularly his use of soundtrack. Zahler wrote the music himself, with much of the music performed by the R&B group The OJs and Butch Tavares. On writing the soundtrack, Zahler has said that he wanted to create a narrative within the soundtrack, almost as a companion piece to the film narrative itself. What we are left with is a very interesting and nostalgic soundscape, one that is indicative of 1970s exploitation films, in which Brawl often shares a similar tone and style. Although, it would be reductive to brand Brawl as an exploitation piece. It is definitely a genre film, but judging by the soundtrack used and stylistic choices employed throughout the dialogue and narrative, exploitation movies from this era certainly inspired him. In conclusion, Zahler's grimy prison piece is a technical work of art that shares its roots with exploitation and grindhouse cinema. Vaughn's committed performance is what drives the movie forward. His presence elevates the material. Without him, the movie may not be the same caliber as it is. Although this movie may be too violent for some, it perfectly showcases a director in command, a devoted performance, and a respectful homage to genre films that came before it. With Dragged Across Concrete coming in several months, taking into account the director's previous work, it is a release that is being awaited with bated breath.